essentially, we have, I don't know, I guess what you call secular supply issues just in general with stuff. But the big story in terms of the baby formula is that the FDA had shut down in, I guess, February, the one of the biggest of two manufacturers of baby formula in the country. And the problem is, I should amend that. They didn't shut down the Abbott facility. Abbott shut it down as opposed to addressing immediately the problems that the FDA found with the production facility that Abbott was using. 2 babies died from this formula, Similac, I think it is, that Abbott makes. And the FDA, not frankly regulating this industry enough. There's 2 major ones. I'm looking for my notes here. And Abbott is one of them. But the problem with Abbott is their business is not just baby formula. They have a bunch of other businesses. And so they don't need to address these problems. They can shut it down.
Mm-hmm. And apparently,
because it's not their only business.
Right. The 2 companies that dominate these sales are Abbott Labs, which creates, did you just say the Similac, the medical price? And the other one makes Lysol. So they can take a hit here as opposed to, like actually fixing the issue.
Right. It's Reckitt Benckiser, Kaiser.
Whatever.
They make Enfamil. I don't know why they have these baby formulas like named like they're some type of
Gargamel.
They should be named so babies can say them. But.
So Abbott has this big facility in Sturgis, Michigan. 2 babies died. 2 others were sickened by bacteria. Abbott took a large amount of the product off the market and shut the plant. And apparently, the FDA makes it very hard for companies to break in because this is, in many respects, more of a medical product than food. That's good. Mm-hmm. But what they don't do is they make it too easy for them to stay in. Inspections, according to David Dayen, are lax, given the state of the Sturgis plant. Apparently, when regulators showed up there was literally like standing water in the plant, and also multiple pockets of some type of bacteria. The other problem is that WIC, which is the Women, Infants, and Children program that supports women and children in food. It has an exclusive deal with Abbott, and the idea is that they get reduced prices for WIC, but it also gives them a lot more shelf space in the supermarkets.
Right.
And so it gives them a big competitive advantage. And they end up being the monopoly supplier for WIC. And so to the extent that there is a monopoly, it's only in the context of WIC.
Which isn't so unusual, though. I mean, there's the alternative is some markets might, it's a government contract, essentially.
It's a government contract. The alternative is give the money to, do it on the recipient side.
Of course.
Rather than say, or make it applicable to all of them. But it's really, you give the money on the recipient side is the way to do it.
Right.
And so when the Abbott recall happened, the 34 states where Abbott had a near monopoly, because there's only 2 now big manufacturers of it, suffered the most acute shortages. Iowa, Missouri, North Dakota, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Abbott are WIC states. In March, the USDA, because they deal with all the food stamps and those programs, tore down the monopoly, allowing WIC parents to be rebated for non-contract products. So you could also access different size of products too, which is a much better way of doing it, although it adds, again, more administration.
But there's still a shortage. There's
still a shortage because Abbott has not come back online.
I had a breakfast just now, right before I came here, and the guy who was serving us, who owned the restaurant, was on the phone with his wife, and his wife's in tears because they couldn't get baby formula. And I saw this trick. I'm not sure if it works, but I guess if you go on Amazon and click Canada instead of the US, you can still, this is a US shortage, partly because of this contract. So I guess you can order from Canada and it'll ship if they still have availability in Canada now, because extra pressure.
Yep.
But it's also a logistics issue because apparently, according to the FDA, there were more sales in April than there was pre the recall of Similac. But the problem is it's not distributed across the country, these sales, because again, it is, there are these two companies that basically, dominate the area, and Abbott had basically control over, certain parts of the country. So and apparently, according to Day, and maybe we'll get somebody on to go through this too, because the WIC monopoly ends up costing middle class parents more. And so we create these mechanisms because we're so afraid of just providing support for people. And we create these mechanisms that are ostensibly to inhibit, giving money to people who don't deserve it. But all it does is it ends up hurting them and other people.
Mm-hmm. And having fair wages and not forcing people to have babies. Let's also start with that. It's not just that we don't have the ability to help those in need. We don't provide the infrastructure so that people are not in need.
Yes, but we could also just say, like, okay, we could just provide them money instead of having a program that is designed to make sure that they spend it in a very, very specific way. The idea that, like, well, you're gonna have poor people out there, they're gonna buy TV sets and they're not gonna buy food for their kids. That's not gonna happen. I'm sure it's gonna happen in one case, but it happens regardless of whether they're on a program or not.
I don't think any mother is going to buy a TV. I would say 0 cases.
100%.
I can't imagine any mother
but
putting
they
that
use
money.
that justification to get rid of redundancy and to ration these kinds of necessary products to keep corporations happy. And then it's we pretend like there's some sort of
it's also because they're afraid
that's happening.
They're also afraid to do it politically.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get criticized for helping too many people or something.
But look, chickens come home to roost in those instances. It always bites Democrats when they half step or quarter step or eighth step like this, because they're already running on this. We just showed I don't think it's going to last that long. Who knows how effective it is? But Elise Stefanik was already, blaming the Biden administration for it. So.
And the pedos, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, they're... the one pedo, obviously.
And think about if you live in a food desert on top of this, so you can't get access to it. You're trying to find it. Buffalo, to tie it back to the Buffalo shooting, that Tops market was the only market within miles, and the community had a lobby Tops to get that market. So it was vital for that community. But that's how many places across America are there mothers who can't access. They don't have access to this. They go to the store, they're out at they have to get on a bus for 2 hours to get to another supermarket to see if maybe there's formula there. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to think about, like, every step of the way you're punishing people for something that is essentially, a government handout, let's be real, to this company so that they can dominate the space and they can't even take care of their facilities.